It's going down. It's currently dinner time right now for the animals in the house. We have some cats and dogs, and it's my cat's birthday today.
Oh, tell your cat happy birthday for me.
Thank you. I was going to ask for a birthday shout out, but look at you just running in already and doing it. So thank you.
What's your cat's name?
It's the Rat.
The Rat. That's that's kind of, that's a cool name.
Yeah, he's a wild man. He was from the streets in Seattle, so.
He must be pretty tough then.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, he's a tough city cat.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Probably carries knives around.
Mm-hmm, he does. You never know. He's like a mafia kind of.
Yeah.
He'll do what he needs to do.
My dog is also here, and she just ate dinner, and now she's wandering around, knocking things over. So you might see her in the shot.
Okay. What kind of dog?
She's a cattle dog mix.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Got her from a shelter.
Nice.
5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty smart dog.
Super smart. Way too smart.
Yeah, exactly. A coworker had that kind of dog, and we would close this store we worked in, and it would like run around with me and like pretend like it was helping me.
That's cute. Cattle dogs like naturally want to do things. They're bred to be working dogs, but I feel so bad. I want to let her go chase some sheep around sometime, but I feel like she's better off getting cuddles.
Yeah, that's true. Can you imagine how excited she would be?
So excited. I've actually looked into it. There's like places that'll rent you their sheep for like an hour so your dog can just chase them around. I mean, those poor sheep, they're just being traumatized on a daily basis. But
yeah, that's so funny. Part of me, I lived in Seattle for 9 years, and then I grew up in Kansas, like a really small town in Kansas. So like I've seen both ways, and like the Kansas part of me is just like, man, those city people renting out their sheep, you know. But also I'm like, that does sound pretty awesome. Like my dog would really enjoy that, I think.
Yeah.
I could see her just barking around.
Yeah. I mean, I would enjoy chasing sheep.
Yeah, get back in line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like little things like that you can control, like doing the dishes. You're like, all right, I might not be able to fix everything in my life, but
at least I can organize sheep.
Exactly, yeah. Get back in line. That does sound pretty fun. Singer-songwriter today, the guest on my podcast, Maiah Wynne. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Even if I know the person and I know the name, I forget how to say it, like right before in the intro. I'm like, all right, let's see how I can say this.
Mariah. You totally got it. I know. Wynne. I get Mariah a lot.
Do you?
Maiah Wynne. Yeah. But yeah, you totally got it.
Yes.
Maiah Wynne.
Yes. You're out here doing the media gauntlet for a lot of things, I'm sure, in your life right now, music-wise. And you find yourself on the Jeremy Mills podcast today. At the end of the day, is that right? End of your media day, hopefully?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to go have some dinner with the cast after this. And it hasn't been too bad. It's been a nice little day off. We went for a hike earlier, and that was great.
Okay. So where are you in Portland right now? No,
I'm in a really tiny town in Montana called Nyhart, and we're filming a movie. And that's why my internet is terrible right now.
Nice. It's a cool background, though.
Yeah, it's a really cool room. I like this painting picture thing of these tree stumps. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was rocks, to be honest, like pebbles.
So funny you said that. We had a whole argument about whether they were rocks or tree stumps earlier.
That's awesome. I fit in. Let it be known for once. So you've done a lot of interviews, not only today, but I'm sure a lot in your career and things like that. Best question, worst question, and then question that you've been waiting to be asked, but no one's ever asked. You've been like, all right, I got this great story. Someone like throw me an assist here.
I'm not sure about best question. I feel like the best questions, we just did an interview for, I think it was iHeartRadio, and this girl just had it down. You know, she had really good questions. They were really thoughtful, and you would think she was going to ask the standard question, and then she would sort of do something else. And you'd be like, oh, it's a little different. I think the worst question I got was, do you have a snake fetish? That was definitely the worst question. It felt like it just came out of nowhere, you know? Like, where do you even go with that?
That is a bold question, like, what? Out of the blue? It's not even like a snake podcast or anything.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even a snake podcast. I think it's because I had one video with a snake in it, and then I did dress up as a snake at the end of the video just to be funny.
Oh, okay.
But I could see maybe if somebody watched that, they might wonder that.
Right. Yeah. God. If you want to be as nice as you are, then yeah, I guess so. But yeah,
yeah.
Unless it was like your friend, you know, something like that. But still,
you know, yeah, I could see maybe where that would pop up into the brain. I don't know that I would ever out loud ask that question.
They were probably just like trying to slowly get to snakes and arrows without being like too coy about it. So snakes and arrows and rush, you know, never.
Yeah, exactly. Just a really weird segue. I think the question I want somebody to ask me is the question I always ask people, which is, if you had an extra arm and you had to choose between it growing out of your stomach or your knee, which would you choose?
Oh, man. Well, okay, you got to go first.
I think I would choose stomach because I could play more instruments that way. But if it's on the knee, you could trip people, and that'd be pretty fun. And you could hide it better.
It's like an extendo arm kind of thing.
How about you?
Man, that is a good question. Yeah. I feel like stomachs, I already have arms up there, you know?
Right.
I already don't even use my left arm that much anyway.
It's true.
Like barely. And then, the knee would be cool. You could like, I don't know. I don't know what I would do with it though. Yeah,
you'd like never have to bend over again.
Yeah, you could pet dogs without having to bend over.
That's a great point. I hadn't even thought about the usefulness of dog petting.
See, that's That's
a good one.
Beat that, you know.
I've asked a lot of people that question since for some reason, I came up with that question in like my sophomore year of high school. And I just kept asking people that question. It's about 50-50.
Okay.
People have very specific reasonings.
Yeah, that's a good question. Might have to steal that. Throw that in like it's my own.
Yeah, we'll keep a tally together.
Okay. Yeah, I'll let you know what I get you. It'll be a different audience. How do you feel being on a basketball podcast? It's kind of
I love it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did play basketball.
Did you?
Yeah, in middle school and high school. Never quite got to varsity though. I was always, JV, but I did go to like the people on varsity were amazing, and I enjoyed I actually really enjoyed my freshman year being on C team because it was less stressful. As soon as I got on to JV, I was super stressed out about it, and I was never quite that good, And I had the hardest time. It's funny, I can remember song lyrics and melodies probably till the day I die. Just useless things and melodies, like I don't know, insurance commercial melodies I'll remember on my deathbed.
Yeah,
but
I know what you mean. I got the Arizona ones down there now.
I can't remember the plays, like where I'm supposed to go, who I'm supposed to like block out, and where I'm supposed to pass the ball. That stuff was so hard for me to remember. And the other girls would get it so fast, and then I would just embarrass myself over and over again.
More of a freelance, like I know, or I had heard on a podcast, I'm going to be referring to all these things that I heard about you in interviews and stuff like that, but that you didn't learn to read music kind of growing up. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I learned the basics when I was really little, and I took piano lessons for a few years from like the age of 4 to 8 or something. And I learned the basics of reading music, but I can't fluently read music. I can't sight read. I'm envious of people who can, and there's a lot of like things and nuances that I didn't learn when it comes to writing and reading music. And I can write music with outside of music notation really well. But music theory was not something I really actually learned in general.
But was it like you could emulate things more almost? Like emulate?
Yeah, I mean, really, music theory and sheet music is just a concise way to, I guess, elaborate and translate music. But music itself, you don't need it. You can create music, you can write music. It's more about like a language, it's like going to a different country and not knowing the language, but maybe you're really good at interpreting intention. So maybe they're saying something in a different language and you don't quite understand, but you know what they're saying, even though you don't really know the words. I don't know if that makes sense.
Right. Like there's a lot of communication that's nonverbal, like kind of thing, almost.
Like you could still play a game of chess with somebody who you didn't speak the same language with, right? Because what you're doing doesn't really require the language, but it would probably help a little.
Right. A little. But sometimes it's like, I don't know, my wife's grandma doesn't speak that good English. And it's, I don't know. I still, like you say, that you can find your ways of communicating with them, and it's almost better sometimes, like no small talk and just like genuine communication, like reading their face and stuff like that. So
yeah. And you don't really need to you don't need to know music theory to write music, to create a melody, to hum a melody, to sing a song, to play a chord. But it does open a lot of doors. Like I would love to compose more, and I think I've been thinking about taking more classes on music theory, and specifically I wish I had done band. My school didn't have band, but I think having a general knowledge of the different like woodwinds and string sections and the different ranges that each instrument can play in would really help with the concept of composing.
Which is crazy because of how many instruments I heard that you already play, like 15 or 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
Does it get any easier, like learning each instrument? Like, all right, I have this pretty big base already to understand things from.
It definitely gets easier. I kind of feel like I'm cheating when I'm like, oh yeah, I play 15 instruments, but it's totally cheating, because once you play a couple stringed instruments, the rest of them are variations of the same concept. It's like, it's just different hand positions, but you play them the same in general. If you can play the guitar, you can definitely play the ukulele. If you can play those two, you can probably play the mandolin. If you can play that, then, you'll definitely be able to play the banjo. If you can play that, then, you can definitely play the bouzouki. And the bouzouki and the mandolin are basically the same, and the saz and the banjo are basically the same, and the dulcimer is sort of like a guitar. And, it's really cheating. And I play the piano, and that easily translates to playing the organ or a glockenspiel, or, it's like, once you get to know musical instruments, like, I'm terrible at anything woodwinds. I can't play any woodwind instruments, or I tried to play saxophone one year and never got really good at it. So I just don't have I can't purse my lips the right way. Yeah. I can't whistle either.
I can't whistle either, no. It also seems filthy, like a filthy instrument, But,
filthy. But all the spit in there.
Like there's no way that's going to be clean. That's out after COVID. Forget about it. Yeah, I can't whistle. No matter how many times anyone's tried to teach me, I don't know what it is. Like it's got to be the way my teeth and lips or something.
I'm going to blame mine on my teeth and lips too.
Mm-hmm. Mine quite are just talented. Mine have gotten me. I guess kind of. I'm, using them to do this interview, so.
Yeah, you can move them around a little at least.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
Get a drink of water as I say that. The basketball thing that I was relating it to was, were you more of a player that was like, I don't know, you could freelance more? You were like, let me just get in the game.
Just feel it out. Let me just feel out where I should be. Yeah. I would have mostly just I try to memorize things, but I do this sometimes with playing music on stage too. My brain will just hit a wall under pressure sometimes, where I will just suddenly forget everything I've ever known in existence. And it just like nothing's there for 2 seconds and I'm just panicking. And that happened a lot in those high pressure games where it's like, okay, we're doing play number 3, you know, and I'm like, what is number 3? What's number 3? Where am I supposed to go? And I'm just panicking. Yeah. And I just BS'd my way through it, and then got benched after that. So
yeah. That's the love of the game right there.
Yeah. You know? I really did enjoy playing it a lot though. And yeah, like I kicked butt in C team basketball. That was my jam.
Okay. What kind of player were you? Were just like a crazy shooter or taking it to the cup?
Yeah, I could hit like right on the corner of where the free throw line is. That was my spot. We had a play where they'd get me the ball there and I could swish it every time. Okay. Like anywhere else, I'd like maybe, but that spot.
Yeah, I know exactly. I think it's the elbow.
Hopefully. Yeah, right in that corner.
Yeah. Come off a screen. You can see it now. Yeah. That's awesome. You
and I was good at blocking out. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
My coach would really encourage a nice like butt to the gut block out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of heart for doing that.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
I'm not very tall. Okay. I'm 5'4".
Okay. So yeah. A lot of heart.
Yeah. A lot of heart.
Draymond Green out there. Trying to think of a Blazers player that's similar to that, but no one's coming to mind at the moment. So.
Yeah. Just make up a name.
Yeah.
Nancy.
Yeah. And Nancy. Yep. She didn't have a last name. That's how good she is.
Just Nancy. There.
Yeah. Kind of hold at the end.
You gotta hold it.
That's professional right there. So you're from Portland. I mentioned living in Seattle for a while. In my research, I found you performed at Folk Life and on KEXP. Is that right?
Yeah, I did Folk Life a few years ago, and that was amazing. And KEXP was so cool. I actually got to do that because I was in Sound Off, which is a battle of the bands for 18 and under musicians that they put on at Mopop. And that was a really amazing experience. And I got second in that. And because of that, I got to do a couple songs on their KEXP like live in studio performance, which was really amazing. I was super nervous for that.
Cheryl Waters staring you down. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, like they have it so there's like this window. You're in the room by yourself. You know, everybody sets you up, and all these people come in and set up the lights and the microphones, and then it's just you and the camera person. And then there's this big window with everybody on the other side of the window looking at you.
You're just trying to like act normal.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Just don't look to the right and you're fine.
Wow. That's awesome. That had to be crazy to be in there. There's a lot of great people that have come through those studios and sat in there. Do you have a favorite person that you found from KEXP?
That's a good question. I feel like I saw Lauren. Was it? No. There's just so many good KEXP in studio sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they really do a good job at stripping things down in an authentic way. And so you really get to experience it in a more intimate way. Who was it that I was just watching on there? I feel like I want to say it was Lauren, but I don't know if that's correct. But it was amazing. And I love that they give equal voice to local talent too, you know, and that it's not really an elitist thing, you know. It's indie artists, it's upcoming artists, it's bigger artists, and it's really all around. And I did see Macklemore's KEXP performance, and he does this thing also through Mopop that's like a mentorship program for young musicians who want to do hip hop or rap. And I had a friend who did that program, and she said that he was really amazing, and they got to tour KEXP with him. And it's just really cool to see how much the local Seattle music scene reaches back out to the youth to really uplift them and give them opportunities. And I really really enjoy KEXP for that reason.
That's interesting to hear. On the basketball end, I do a lot of Seattle basketball interviews, and that's a trait that they take a lot of pride in, is like reaching back down and like bringing the elevator down and taking people back up with them, the people that have succeeded, coming back and like sharing how to succeed. So that's cool that that's, you know, that you've seen that in your experience there.
Go Seattle.
Yeah, good job, Seattle. I'll be back. I'll be back. So you kind of talk about certain opportunities coming up. The opportunity with Envy of None kind of came up in a natural way, maybe. There's a line in a song, and then there's also a crazy cat fight outside of my door. The mics never pick it up, but I can hear it. It's like I have to acknowledge it. But there's a line that says something about like preparation and opportunity coming together. And I found that in my life. Like it's lucky in a way, but it also wouldn't work if you hadn't like done all these other things in your life leading up to that. Does that mean anything to you with your opportunity with him?
Absolutely. I feel like with most of the opportunities I've had in music have felt like that. You know, it's a lot of work and a lot of trying and failing and a lot of doing everything that you can and making connections and trying to, you know, I don't know, build bridges. And then eventually something comes back around, and maybe to the outside it feels like, oh, that's just this amazing, lucky opportunity. But it was a series of things that you did to get to that point, and I completely agree with that. So for how I got into contact with Andy for Envy of None was that I entered a song contest that I ended up winning, and I won a mentorship Zoom call with him. And before I entered, before I entered the contest, I worked on a commercial for this like music brand, and it didn't pay very much, but I really wanted to, you know, keep working and trying to get my name out there. And it was a really small thing, and through that, this guy was working on a promo for that contest and was like, hey, you should enter it. And so I ended up entering it, and I won that contest. But I've entered so many contests, and most of them, you know, I haven't won, but I have won a few. But it really is, it's just trying and trying and trying again. And eventually something hits, you know? And through that Zoom mentorship call, I didn't really research Andy that much. I thought he was just this A&R guy in Canada. Like, I didn't really know he was a musician. And he started talking about some music he was working on, and I was just like, oh, cool. You know, it's just this casual thing. And I offered to sing on something for him just for the fun of it. And he took me up on the offer. And it wasn't until much later that I realized he was a much bigger deal than I thought he was, you know. But, you know, Canadian music scene isn't really on my radar for the most part, with the exception, obviously, of bigger bands like Sarah McLachlan or Rush. So we had been working on music for a while just for the fun of it. And then like 3 months into that project, Andy called me and was like, hey, I showed this to my buddy Alex, and he really wants to play guitars on it. And when he said, you know, Alex Lifeson from Rush, like my brain exploded. I didn't understand how A went to B, but I was very excited. And then over time, I finally understood all of those connections and all of the ways that those bridges, you know, interweaved with each other. And so yeah, it definitely felt lucky. I felt very fortunate that I didn't really know who Andy was, because I probably wouldn't have been like, hey, you know, let me sing on your music. But I just didn't know. And it was just natural and authentic, and it just grew in a very genuine way that was very low pressure. And for a long time, we didn't really have any plans to do anything with it. It was just for fun. And then suddenly we had like 10 songs and we're like, hey, we should do something with this and put it out there. And that was actually fairly recently that we sort of decided definitively to sort of really put it out there and promote it. And we signed with a label out of London called KEXP and made a couple of videos. They're about to film another music video really soon for the lead single, and it's exciting.
Yeah, it has to be very exciting. You had talked about throughout the course of your music career, different experiences, successes, failures, things like that. And was it hard to keep your conviction, I guess might be the right word? Like when you started out, like who you wanted to be in music and what you wanted to do and how you wanted to do it, and kind of like your, not morals, but kind of like, you know what I mean? Was it hard to keep that through those successes and failures and not change to be what people want at the time, or to ultimately lead you to that opportunity where it was natural and authentic and easy?
Yeah, and I think to a certain extent it was easier with that collaboration because I knew it was a collaboration. You know, it was never going to be 100% me. It was sort of a meeting of 4 different people with 4 different musical backgrounds, and whatever the product was sort of a compromise between these 4 different influences and things. And so it was easier to sort of let go of that creatively
Mm-hmm.
and sort of let it just leave the nest and be whatever it turned out to be, because I knew it wasn't exactly mine. It was ours, and it was a group effort. But with my own music, I think I definitely went through a period where I was trying to just do what I thought would do well, or trying to chase the invisible, carrot on a stick. I was like, oh, this is going to be popular. This is going to be what people want. And I think it's hard not to do that sometimes with the way that the internet is, and you have everybody's opinions on display. And it's hard not to think, oh, well, this person says this, so maybe I should be doing something differently. And these people are saying this, so maybe I should take that into account. And I think people would like this more since, they responded this way to this. And it's hard not to do that. And I think I've finally sort of reached a point where I don't care as much. I have momentum with my own record that I'm working on. I've done a lot of collaborations, and I've done a lot of commissioned work and songs that I've written for specific projects, for films, for television, for like books, or I did a benefit album to help save the oceans, and that song was about the ocean, and it's like I've done a lot of songs for specific things that weren't exactly me and my music and a perfect representation of like me as an artist. And
Mm-hmm.
and it's been a long time, and I'm working on my album right now, and it's just me, and it's just my heart, and I'm so excited to put it out there and show people who I am as an artist, because I write all the time. I've written over 300 songs, and I'm constantly expressing myself, but I haven't really bottled it up and sent it into the world yet in a genuine way, and I'm really excited to do that.
Yeah, it's got to be different, like you were saying, playing a role in a band rather than, it coming from you, like you're the source, I guess, totally, and
Yeah.
you control everything, which is what I do with this, basically. It's like I turn all the cameras on, I pack it up at the end, I edit it, I do all that. So I think it would be hard for me to let go and play a role, because sometimes those skills don't always translate. But your own record, if people listen to Envy of None and then they go to your record, how is it going to be different, do you think?
It's going to be very different. I think what I brought to Envy of None, and it's funny that you say that, I think it was freeing in a way to just be a vocalist but also kind of scary. I hide behind my instruments, and the idea of doing any of these songs on stage scares me because I won't have an instrument. It's just going to be me and my voice. And I've never really thought of myself as like that person, like just as a singer and like a kind of a diva, you know, and it's not really me. So it's been challenging in a way to sort of step into that role in this project and be that person. And but I think what I really brought to this project, I wrote a lot of the lyrics and the vocal melodies and these harmonies, and I restructured things and made it work as a song, you know. And he would send me sometimes just a 1-minute instrumental track, you know, and I'd be like, okay, this is the chorus, and I'd extend that and then repeat this section of the verse, and then they'd add more things, and I'd sort of structure it out for a lot of these songs. And I think I brought a lot of melody and hooks and personal meaning to a lot of these songs through the lyrics, and I had a lot of distinct parameters, like Andy would send this instrumental track with the title, I don't know, Look Inside, you know, and I'd have to figure out how to write a song that felt like it matched that title, you know, and something that meant something to me. So I think it was a fun challenge to sort of put myself in this space and mold what I was doing to fit within all of these different pieces.
Yeah, that has to be really hard. Like, I don't know, like a writing prompt almost, but it has to be really good, and it can't be like...
Exactly. I guess that's the good thing about doing it virtually. I can get rid of all of the bad stuff first.
Yeah, right. I feel that for sure. For sure. How do you look at Geddy Lee, for instance, different after playing with Alex and the fellow Canadians with like the full sound I've kind of heard you talk about before? Does it make you like sing differently in a different key or, you know, octave? I don't really know.
Yeah, I do think that there was a few songs on the record that I really wanted to really go all out for, and especially Dog's Life was one that I actually recorded screams and like aggressive vocals for, and they didn't end up using most of those, which I'm sad about.
Gotta send them to me, I'll put it in this. No, I'm kidding.
But it did challenge me. I think I wanted to get bigger on a lot of these songs. I think Enemy is another one that is it challenged me more. I think I was going through, especially, I mean, this project has been in the works for 5 years, and Enemy was one of the earlier ones. And my personal journey, just as a person, I've been working through a lot of personal stuff and trying to get confident again. And I sort of went through a period where I just sort of sunk into myself and I got really quiet. And I think that song particularly was a time where I sort of made myself let go of that a little bit for the sake of the song. Like the song, I have to get bigger for it. And that was one that we actually recorded in studio, and I didn't have as much time to overthink it. I just had to go for it and let go. And I think that was really good for me to have that chance to do that. And it was sort of the beginning of me starting to let go of that a bit more and trust myself and trust that I can do quiet and I can also do loud. And I think Geddy Lee's, I appreciate him more through this process, and I appreciate Alex more through this process, because I get to know Alex not just through the music that he creates, but just as a person and all of the dynamics that go into the music that he makes. And while I haven't met Geddy, I've heard stories from Alex, and I've had the chance through this lens to listen to Rush albums again, and it really gives me even more appreciation for him as a vocalist, because he does do that. He just goes for it, you know, and he's always done that. And he has passion and he has dynamics, and he just goes for the performance, for the song, and serves the song with his voice. And they have songs that are slower and more intimate, and his voice is so beautiful. And then songs like Tom Sawyer, where he's just like, powerful and has this amazing range. And I do have a whole nother appreciation for him from this entire process.
Yeah, you gave a great answer there, as you have all podcasts, but also in a different interview, talking about like the role he can play coming into a song and not like having the, need to have a huge presence and do, crazy stuff. And that's the Alex Lifeson song.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. Like, I tried to get him to do more guitar solos on this record, and he's like, nah, I don't really feel it on this song. And I respect that. I respect him so much for that. And he and I had this great dynamic of creating harmonies together. And there's like moments where the guitar and the vocal sort of dance around each other, and in a really beautiful way. And I think his approach on this record has been very conscious, and there's so many layers where you'd listen to it and not realize that that's guitar. You think, oh, that's keys or synths or bass or strings, and it's all him. And he's just doing crazy cool things with the guitar and just creating this amazing textural atmosphere for all of these songs that just floats in and out, and it all just supports the music. And I love that about him. I love that he listens to the song and then does what he can to sort of support the song and what it needs, and whatever textures and melodies that he feels like will support it. And it's really amazing to work with him.
That's awesome. Ultimate role player, Scottie Pippen, if you will.
Yeah.
I was listening to Look Inside, and it had me thinking like, all right, it's 2022. It's like hard to come up maybe with new sounding music. I don't know, maybe you don't think of it that way at all, but I just had that thought. And then I was listening to that, and it was dynamic in a way. You got like dogs running around. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
You actually have a dog there, right?
I have a dog, and I have roommates in my hotel room.
Oh, nice.
Sneezing.
Yeah. They made it on the pod. I'll credit them for that. But it had a lot of different kind of sounds. In the very big term, but the bass kind of reminded me of Sleep. Do you know them?
Yeah. You said the bass reminded you of which band?
Sleep.
Huh.
Ever heard of them?
No.
I'll have to send you a track of theirs, but I don't know if it had the same tone or what, but I was like, oh, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, that's Andy did that bass part, and I think I remember him saying that he doubled the bass, like made it super meaty and aggressive, and I think it turned out great on that song. Threw some distortion, really messed with it.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to hear it. What have you learned most through this experience, do you think, working not only with Alex, but Andy and the other members of the band, and maybe just through doing interviews with people, talking to them about this in particular? I'm sure you've gotten just a flood of Rush fans just being like, oh my God, this is Alex's new project. We got to like figure this out. And this whole experience, I guess, what has this last year or so been like for you?
I think it's been really reassuring for me as a musician, and Alex always talks me up in all of the interviews, and he's been sort of just an amazing supporter of me, and he's told me so many times that, that my vocals and what I've been doing on these songs has been really inspiring for him, and he's really made me feel more confident in myself. This whole project has, and in the fact that what I'm doing is good enough? I don't know. It's such a simple thing, but when you're an artist, there's always that questioning and that, am I even making something good? Well, do people even like this? Is this, you have no perspective on yourself. It's like when you look in the mirror, you've seen yourself every day, your whole life, and it's hard to really know if what you're seeing is how other people see you at all. And I think music and art is very similar. It's such an expression of yourself and a vulnerable piece of yourself that it's hard to have confidence in it. It's hard to feel assured that you're doing something worthy, for lack of a better word. And I think that this process, and specifically Alex, and the way that he's sort of mentored me and lifted me up, has really helped me feel more confident in myself as a musician, as a singer. And that's been really good for me and my heart. I think when I start to feel really anxious and self-doubty, I like some voice in the back of my head is like, okay, but Alex thinks you're great. So
oh my God, yeah. Forget the voice in your head after that. They'd have to shut up at that point.
Right.
I feel that. Finally get some sleep around here.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome to hear. Because from the outside looking in, it's you don't, like you say, you've seen yourself your whole life, and you know everything about you and yada yada yada. But to other people, it is, like you are this front person. Even though you said you don't really feel like that role, it's like that's kind of how it's presented, I guess, or how it sounds in the music. It's powerful and all that kind of stuff. But
it was funny. Somebody commented I just posted some pictures of me at the park on Instagram, and they were like, "It's so funny that in the music video you look like this like grunge goddess, and then in most of your Instagram posts you're like a wood nymph." Like, I'm just like this woodland fairy most of the time. It's really funny. It really is such a juxtaposition. But it's fun to sort of take on a new character for this project.
You're out in movies, you're taking on new characters for music videos. What can't you do? You've written songs for books. You've worked in a lot of different projects. You have your own album coming out. Probably doesn't have a date.
I think we have to have it done by September. So at the very least, it'll be out by September.
September. It's going to come quicker than you think. I can't believe it's almost already April. But
oh man, it's crazy.
I'm sure it's going fast for you.
So fast.
But
I'm just the prospect of getting older is dreadful.
I know, right? But this world is pretty like cozy, like nothing crazy going on, no like global stuff. It's just pretty chill. So
not at all. It's super chill.
Yeah. It's all good. But congratulations to you. It's been really nice talking to you. I enjoy the music, as I've told you. And I'm sure you've heard all day. Where can the people follow you? Do you have anything you want to say to your family, the people that, watch all of your stuff, your biggest fans, everything like that? I think of my family because probably the only people who watch, but.
All right. I'm going to say hi to Jeremy's family.
Yes.
And hi to my own family. Shout out to my mom. And you can find me everywhere online. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't do much on TikTok, but I'm going to change that. And it's all under my name, Maiah Wynne, and that's spelled MaiahWynne.
Gets easier every time you spell it. It's kind of fun to spell. You feel accomplished once you figure it out. So
actually, I created a little song for it at my live shows.
Gonna finish with a song? Oh my god!
No, well, I can't. Now I gotta remember it. It's been so long since I've done it. MaiahWynne. That's me. It's great.
Singer, songwriter, what can't you do?
Right.
Thank you for being on the show. I'm in Phoenix, if you didn't know. So if Envy of None or you come on tour with any band through Phoenix, there's great golf courses. And I'm sure lots of people who would come watch your show. So Again, thank you for doing it. Enjoy your night, and talk to you next time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.